At Hope Church, we are always talking about what it means to follow, grow, and live for Jesus. But what does that actually look like in your day to day life? Follow along with me, Jenny Miles, as we talk to members of our Hope team, partners of our church, as well as staff members, as they share real life examples of what it looks like to be on journey with Jesus. Get inspired, be empowered, and experience the joy of serving Jesus through Hope Talks. Welcome to Hope Talks. My name is Jenny Miles, and I am joined today with three amazing guest services folks as we're going into an episode on guest services. So, right here, I've got Katrina and her son Grant, and then Scott Shields is beside me as well. And so, something I want to do with this podcast is peg you based on what I think that you would drink. So today I have some drinks with me. Okay. That's how I want to open this thing. I have some drinks with me. Okay. And the first I feel like was the easiest for me is Katrina is always skirting into church on two wheels because she has stopped to get her coffee.
That is so true. That is so true.
So, Katrina, I don't know that I've ever asked you your order, or maybe I have, but that's a vanilla latte. What is your coffee order?
It depends on my mood, what my coffee order is, but a vanilla latte is good.
Okay, well, you have a vanilla latte. It might be
Thank
a
you so
little
much.
chilled at this point, a little lukewarm. I apologize. I did heat it up a little bit. Maybe, I don't know. We'll see how it is. Okay, so Katrina, for me, it was easy. It was coffee. I see you with coffee. Okay, my next one was I don't know how I want to do this, but anyway, so my next one is Grant, and I got you just a prime. And I got your
Thank
prime
you.
because I know that you're into sports, you play baseball.
Of course.
I think of prime as like a I don't know, like a
Like a
cool
yeah,
sport,
like a sporty drink.
new,
Yeah.
I don't know, up and
Thank you.
coming. I don't know. Anyway, and then blue raspberry, mostly because I like that flavor.
Yeah. No,
I,
you can't go wrong with it.
okay, so this is a good
Yeah,
drink.
I think you pegged it pretty well.
Okay,
I think you
okay,
got it right on the dot. Yeah.
awesome, great. Okay, Scott, I also got you a prime, but yours is an energy drink. And I'm concerned now that I got you an energy drink because you're making me nervous. Yeah, I got you an energy drink just because you're a dad of two. This is a little later in the afternoon. I just thought, to get through the next little bit for then you to get home and probably help put kids down. Maybe you need an energy drink. I don't know, but maybe you and Grant need to switch. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts?
No, this is pretty spot on. I actually just recently, like in the last few months, started drinking energy drinks
Okay.
because I used to like be all like, "Oh, I don't need energy drinks," but yeah, having kids and
You
doing all
turned
kinds of
30.
other stuff. Wow. Okay, yeah. So I am over 30. Um, but yeah. No, this is actually that's perfect. And yes, I will. I have to go home and after this and put kids down, and then we're leaving to go on vacation tomorrow. So this will be perfect. This will allow me to kind of do all that late night dad stuff I have to do to get ready to go.
Pack all the things. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't packed anything, so that's pretty par for the course though.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you now have an energy drink to keep you going. All right. So, okay, I want to talk to you guys just about real quick. Who are you? What makes you tick? What are the things that are exclusively you? Yeah, Katrina, tell me just a couple of things about yourself.
I'm a mom. I have two teenage kids. Grant's one of them. he's getting ready to go into 10th grade.
Yeah.
My daughter is getting ready to go into 12th grade. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse a long time, a long time. I love to read and I love to eat and I love to travel. And I make really good brownies and cookies too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love cookies.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. All right.
Wink, wink.
Yeah, really. What you got, Grant? Tell us about you.
So I'm 15. I'm a high school student. Um, I love sports. Sports, I don't know. I don't know what I'd do without them. I teach Taekwondo. Um, that's half the reason why I'm able to like communicate well with people and teach. Um, I take pride in my academics. I take pride in my future. I make sure. I try my best in whatever I do. Um, and then, yeah, I think that's about all I am really.
Where do you teach Taekwondo? And what age do you start with?
So I teach Taekwondo at Tiger Kim's Taekwondo, and then we
Okay.
start at 4, like
Really?
age 4, and then it's really 4 and up. Really, it's all age groups.
Okay, so my 4-year-old Levi
Mm.
would do well
Oh, he'd
there.
do super well.
Yeah.
He'd do great.
Yeah, he did Taekwondo as a 3-year-old, and he loved
Mm.
it. He was great at it. I think it was a little overwhelming for me just because it was just a lot of time in the week
Yeah.
and it was far
Mhm.
away. We
Yeah.
live out in the middle of nowhere, but he thrived with Taekwondo anyway.
Yeah.
And I feel like the older he gets, probably the more useful it will be.
Oh, super useful. Like, not even just for, like, I guess the fighting aspect, but like confidence, self-control, respect. 3
Discipline.
really big things.
Yeah. Good to know, Grant. I don't know how I missed this about you. Maybe I did know it and I had just forgotten. But anyway, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Scott. Who are you in a nutshell?
A nut. That's pretty good. A dad, husband. I work in construction. I'm a project manager. So one of the things I like a lot about doing guest services is not having to be in charge, just getting to show up and use the what little bit of talent and ability that the Lord has given me to serve in that way and be able to kind of let someone else actually run the show. That's always a nice aspect. But I like a lot of sports, but generally just like spending time with my family and a lot of grew up in this area, so a lot of folks. People I served with, as well as just people who attend the church, are people I've known a long time, and things like that. So always nice to kind of have those opportunities to either reestablish or kind of grow those relationships with those people. But um, yeah, I'm just I've always kind of been told I have like a chameleon personality, just kind of whatever the moment dictates, whatever kind of the situation calls for, and um, I talk a lot, and usually whatever
Not
the
you,
circumstance
Scott.
is. So,
A
um,
talker?
but yeah, that's probably that's about as nutshell as it gets, I think.
I feel like I can speak into Scott just a little bit just because I've known him for so long. We graduated together. I don't know if you knew that or if I've told you that before, but yeah, we graduated together long bit ago.
Not that long ago.
Not that long, but anyway,
We are 31.
Still young.
that's right, Grant. We're young.
Good answer.
All right, you guys. So the heart behind this podcast is truly to encourage and empower people to just step into furthering their journey with Jesus. Maybe the people who are currently serving on our Hope team, for it to just inspire someone to maybe step into something more, something deeper, to just truly maybe shift your perspective on what it means to serve Jesus. And so I want to start with kind of your journey coming to Hope Church. How did you get to Hope? How long has it been? And what made you step into serving? Maybe how long did it take you to step into serving? And Scott, you have the mic, so if you wouldn't mind speaking to this first. But first of all, how long have you been at Hope Church?
The very first time that I attended Hope Church was several years ago. And the Lord kind of took me and my family on a journey of visiting a few different churches. And, as I spoke to earlier, knew a lot of people, obviously knew you and Trent and, several other families. And so we always kind of felt welcomed and at home here, but just kind of, like I said, the Lord was just kind of had to show us a few things first. So we've been coming consistently for about 2.5, 3 years now. And funny enough, we've been serving for about a year, give or take. And a year before we served the first time, we had gone through Next Steps
Mhm.
and had talked to Pastor Dan and gotten all fired up and said, all right, we're going to start serving. And then never did. And just kind of went through a season of again, the Lord kind of teaches us some different stuff, and then about a year later, the Lord really kind of prompted us. You need to go back and fulfill that thing that you started. And so we have obviously had a blast doing it. I love getting to serve, and it has given us a level of accountability
Yeah.
with being at church, being on time. I appreciate that I wasn't the butt of the one that's always late joke here, because that's normally us as coming in late and last minute and all those sorts of things. But it has been a thing to really give us that discipline, kind of that consistency of you're here. to experience the Lord, but also to have the opportunity to serve and to dive in on that sort of stuff. So there's just kind of been a big period of growth of us kind of growing into the roles of serving on a guest services team and just serving in general. And that's been, we're really thankful that the Lord's done that, but
Yeah.
also it's been a kind of a growing season to that church isn't just about you show up and you can. It's no, you have a calling and a purpose now, and so
Yeah.
there's a reason to be here, and something that really drives us to that.
Yeah. That's awesome. Very good. Thank you, Scott. What about you, Katrina?
So some of this will apply to Grant too, although I know Grant will probably have some things he wants to say too. But we came in 2019. Uh, Probably it was right before Father's Day. We actually came to hear a friend of ours speak. And we came and we loved it. It was very welcoming. Um, and we walked in, and my husband's like, "This is where we need to go." And so, probably in about September of 2019, they actually, I think it was like the inaugural pilot group for Next Steps. And so we took that class. And it was really just like a month later when I started serving in guest services after that.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was pretty quick. But I knew I wanted to commit to something because I knew that was the way to find my place and not just, I didn't want to just show up, and I wanted to connect to people. I really wanted to connect to people. So I knew I needed to get into something so that that could happen.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that is groups are a great place to meet people. Serving is also a wonderful
Yeah.
place to meet people.
Yeah.
And specifically guest services, because not only are you connecting with the people amongst your team, but you're connecting with the people who are entering into the church. You get to see
Yeah.
every single person. I can remember serving in kids for a brief period of time and thinking to myself, okay, I know the 15 parents that I see every week, and that's all I know. I know there has to be more people in this church, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that the way that God designed me was I wanted to know everybody.
Yeah.
And so guest services, that's where I landed.
Yeah, I actually, to be honest, even several years ago, guest services would not have been my first choice, but I did it on purpose because for that reason, I wanted to put myself in a place where I had to connect to people and I couldn't hide from people. And so it pushed me at first to be in guest services. But I found so much joy in it. It was a good little bit of uncomfortableness, I guess, if you can say it that way, because on the other side of that, I really did connect with people in a profound way, and I really felt like I found my people and I found my
Mm,
place.
yeah.
Um, and I needed that little bit of stretching and being a little bit uncomfortable to kind of find that place.
Yeah.
So originally, I started volunteering in the kids ministry, and ever since I started, I've still been in there. But since my mom, of course, did guest services, she was ever short staffed or needed, somebody in a position, she would just say, "Hey, Grant, I need you to do this," and you know, I was not always really wanting to. Like she'd have to drag me by the ear a lot, but it
No
on
one can
it.
tell that. You seem
No,
so willing always.
oh yeah, no, but like recently, it started to become like my choice. Like I wanted to step into that, and that happened. I think in like around December time when I started helping out front greet, and that's when it really started to like align to me, like that I really want to do this, and
Yeah.
like um, ever since then, it's just like helped me like find my people. Not only that, but also learn a lot about Christianity, learn a lot about people. Um, it's just been like honestly one of the best decisions ever. Really has.
That is so cool to hear you say that, Grant. I have to say, I am so impressed with you. And when we have staff meetings, you often come up because you're literally, when you say you're out front, what that means is you're the one, he's at the gazebo a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so, past the parking team, as
Hmm.
people are walking in, they've interacted with the parking team,
Hmm.
but then you're kind of the first one as part of the welcome team. So just to kind of break this down, guest services encompasses 3 different teams. So you've got your parking team, which is going to be the first people that you encounter,
Yep.
and then you've got your welcome team, and they're the ones who, as you're walking down the sidewalk, as you're going into the building, they're the ones standing in the lobby, greeting you, holding the doors, those sorts of things. And then the third part of the team is the coffee team. Um, anyway, but as far as the welcome team, you are the very first person that people see.
Yep.
And what's so cool and what stands out is, for one, your age, that you are, and this is a great thing. Like, you're out front and you're bold and you're calling
Oh, yeah.
people by name,
Oh, yeah.
as in you have taken the time to meet them and you have decided that I'm going to retain
Yeah.
this information that I have learned about you, and I'm going to make you feel important by calling you by name, and
Mhm.
knowing that in you calling them by name,
Mhm.
they feel seen and known and cared for.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that is a huge thing, especially
Mhm.
from someone that's 15. I mean, like, holy cow, Scott, were you
Yeah.
calling people by name at 15 that you had just met 2 weeks ago? Like,
Not
were
names.
you in this
Not names I
setting?
can repeat on this podcast, but
Oh, Scott. Woo! No, I'm just kidding. No, but seriously, like, it's a really big deal. I
Thank
think it's
you.
really admirable. And so
Oh, yeah.
I just want to encourage you to keep doing that.
Thank you. Yeah.
With that said, you mentioned that your mom will kind of drag you by the ear and say, okay, I need you to serve here or
Mhm.
there or wherever. Um, if you guys will just kind of dive into the different roles that you play within guest services. I know that you, Grant, enjoy being at that front,
Oh, yeah.
part, but I've also seen you usher, and I've also, if we need a greeter, you're holding a door, that
Yeah.
sort of thing. So where is your primary place? Where's your secondary place? And then Katrina, if you can kind of fill in the gaps as well.
So my primary place is, of course, under the gazebo, like the welcome.
Yeah.
But I love being there. I love, love, love it. Like you said, I try my best to like meet new people and kind of understand who they are. That is my favorite part, my most favorite part, because I don't know, I just enjoy it. I enjoy making people happy, and if I can like put a smile on their face, it fulfills me. But my secondary role, I want to say ushering or usher greeter. So like holding the door, I do that a lot. But also ushering, making sure people are, where they need to be, helping them, find a seat if they need it, or fulfilling people's needs. Yeah, I'd like to say that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, you're good at seeing a need and meeting that need.
Oh, yeah.
I'll also say this just to kind of brag on you again, real quick. So something else that I know that you do often is serving kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that you're probably in Levi, my 4-year-old's class,
I
a
am.
lot. And so I can speak as a parent when I say this, but walking into church with my children and you're calling my kid by name, that's a big deal, right? That feels good.
Yeah.
It feels
Yeah.
good that there are people that see my family and know my family and recognize my kid and
Yeah.
call him by name. And even if he's being bashful and he's going to hide behind me,
It's okay.
like he feels important. And I
Yeah.
think that's really cool that you do that.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Katrina, what do you do on a Sunday morning? But I think the way I should probably phrase it is, what do you not do on a Sunday morning? Because you are Superwoman.
I don't know about that part, but I help coach the welcome team, which means that I'm making sure that people know where they're supposed to be, making sure that all the doors are covered, that we have folks out front, we have folks in our connect area to make sure that our first time guests are really welcomed. Um, and so that's a lot of what I do on Sunday morning, and that's usually why you see me running around because I just want to make sure everybody's okay. But the other part that I love about it is I just love connecting with the people on the team
Yeah.
and supporting them. And I think my role is really to make sure that they have what they need so that they can do what they need to do so that our guests, but also our people who attend here on a regular basis, that we create an environment for them that is safe and welcoming and helps people to drop their defenses so that they can
Yeah.
really hear what God is saying to them when they come in on a Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. All right, Scott, what's your role on a Sunday morning?
Most Sunday mornings, I'm usually one of two places, which is either out front trying to be as cool as Grant,
It's a hard job.
which is a tough task, but is one worth pursuing. I want to be Grant when I grow up, that's for sure. Or at the first time, Connect area, which is something that was kind of the first place that when I first got plugged in, started serving, and was a really really cool thing that the Lord kind of used that to kind of really remind me. I grew up in a church where we were super involved. I was at church 4, 5, 6 days a week, always involved in activities. Did some serving, but I just realized, looking back now, I can realize, thankful that I had that opportunity, but that the Lord I was consuming a lot of the things the church was doing. I was attending events. I was a participant, but I wasn't doing as very much serving, especially
Yeah.
not at Grant's age. Like I said,
Yeah.
I was relatively new in the church at that time, and so what's been really cool is, like I said, we kind of bounced around after going to college and then coming back home and getting married and all those sorts of things. When we started looking for a church home, it kind of felt like starting over a little bit. And so what I think the Lord has been able to use that as something where I know what it's like to be kind of a insider in the church,
Yeah.
growing up in that, but then also what it's like kind of coming back, or even maybe being a first time guest. And so um, having the opportunity to be able to meet people who oftentimes either haven't been to church in a long time, or on some occasions have never been before at all, and being able to be that smiling face, but also that, hey, what's your story? How'd you hear about us? How'd you get here? And not in a, um, I think one of the things that Hope Church does super super well, and that's one of the reasons why we love it here, is it's not about us. It's not about what we're doing. It's about every person that walks in the door, whether you've been here for 30 odd years, or if it's your first Sunday. It's about, how'd you get here, and then what can we do to partner with you? What can we do to make you feel welcome? What can we do to make this a place that you would want to come back to next Sunday? Not how do we get you back in the door so we can get your money, or put you down on an attendance sheet, but how do we make this a place that you come to willingly, that fills you as an attendee, and ultimately would fill you to the point where you may want to serve, or get involved with something as well. And that's just such a cool dynamic that we all get to be a part of. But for me specifically, has been really special to kind of get to see, kind of almost from all the different sides of what being an attendee of a church regularly is like.
Yeah. I think it's cool you being in the connect role and being in that connect space. Literally, the people who are coming to connect are they're saying, "Okay, I'm going to take a step. I'm taking a step in. What do you have?" Like, that's an intimidating thing. It's an intimidating thing. A lot of times when we think about like our first time guests, and we even have the signs in the parking lot when you're pulling in, like, "Hey, let us know you're a first time guest, like turn on your hazards so that we can recognize you." We say this all the time, but I'm sure so many people refuse to do that. I know if I was a first time guest, and it's been a long time since I've been a first time guest, but if I were a first time guest, I'm absolutely not turning on my hazards, and I am pulling in this place, and I'm going to pretend that I know what I'm doing so that you don't assume that I'm a first time guest, because I don't want the spotlight on me. But for somebody who is saying, "Okay, I'm going to be vulnerable enough to go to Connect and to let you know I'm a first time guest," or to go to Connect and say, "Hey, I want to know more about X, Y, or Z," those are the people that it's like, "Oh, we don't want to pass this up. Like,
Yeah.
we want to take advantage of the opportunity that you're saying, hey, I want more." And so I think it's a really cool position that you're able to be in, to say, "Well, let me help you. Let's figure it out together." And for you to have the heartbeat that you do, that naturally pairs so well with that. So I think that's really cool. Okay, so Scott, you were kind of touching on this, and I want to kind of go to Katrina real quick. You told me once before, Katrina, that the reason that you serve in guest services is because you moved around so much.
Yeah.
And so where's your heartbeat with that and how it pertains to guest services?
Yeah. So some of my background is I actually went to, I think it was 13 or 14 different schools by the time I graduated high school.
Wow.
And so I really did, after a while, kids are not nice sometimes too. I mean, it's sometimes they're just not. So with that, moving around, my parents getting divorced when I was like 12, 13 years old, I really learned how to be super internal, and it was very difficult for me to trust people.
Mhm.
And I was so desperate to connect. And I didn't know how to do that because I had so much baggage and I just had a lot of walls kind of protecting my heart. And so, um, of course, God is so good, and we've worked through a lot of that, right?
Yeah.
But as a result of that, um, I want to make sure that anybody that walks through the door um, doesn't feel like that.
Yeah.
Right? Because I know what it feels like to be the new person. I know how hard it is. I know how scary it is. I know how difficult it is to let your walls down and let people in. And so I think that's the thing that motivates me is that I want every person that walks in to be able to come in and take a breath and feel like they're safe and like that they can start that process of relaxing those things and letting people in and letting God in so that he can work on their heart. And that's the thing that really motivates me. Like a smile is such a powerful weapon. And
Yes.
we don't think about it that way. It's like, oh, just a smile or just a good morning. But to that person who's coming in who's really defeated or was like me, very closed off, that is like everything. And that's that God uses that to draw people in so that he can do the work that he needs to do.
Yeah. That's really cool, Katrina. Um, I don't know why it just made me think of this, but just talking about just the small things, the little things. Um, I had coffee one time with a lady who was attending Hope at the time. And we hadn't really talked much before. But I think that we were grabbing coffee to say, hey, what more do you want to step into kind of thing? Cause she was just trying to figure out, hey, where would be a good fit for me to serve? She was looking to serve. Anyway, and she just disclosed to me, she said, Jenny, she was new to the area. And she said, I just felt like I didn't know anyone here and no one knew me. And she said, and you just came up behind me during the service one morning and just put your hand on my shoulder and told me good morning. And she said, and that's why I stayed.
Hmm.
That's all it took, you know? And I think it's a really important thing to, first of all, it's natural to, well, probably for people on the guest services team. And again, everybody's different, but people on the guest services team are generally more extroverted and they want to speak to people. And it's not that everybody knows everybody by name, but a good morning is generally an easy welcome greeting kind of thing.
Hmm.
But to listen to the prompting of the Holy Spirit, just to put your hand on the shoulder of somebody in front of you during the service because you just felt like God put it on your heart to acknowledge that person, it goes a long way. And that's not just a role in guest services. That's just a role in life that we all get the
Yeah.
opportunity to step into, regardless of whether it's at Hope Church or wherever you're at, to see people
Right.
because God created them and He loves them. And we should acknowledge that. Anyway, not sure how I got there. But so the next thing that I was thinking about is obviously you guys are a mom and son duo. And Katrina, you and I have talked a lot about just how rewarding it is to see your children
Right.
serving and that sort of thing, and how you and your husband modeled that for them. And I hope that my husband and I are modeling that for our kids. And I have had the opportunity to hear Levi, my 4-year-old, say things like, I'm going to hold the door because my Grammy holds the doors. So his grandmother and his great grandmother, by the way, also serving guest services, which is really cool. Anyway, but how has serving impacted your family? And I know that you'll be able to speak to that, but also, Scott, I want to hear how you have littles just like I do. How has serving impacted your family? So,
That's such a there's so many things I could say to that. I think that it has really I'm not going to say I'm the best mom or the best parent. Like, I'm not. My son will attest to that. But I think what it's done is shown our kids that we're kind of putting our money where our mouth is, so to
mm,
speak, and that we just don't attend, but that we're really trying to put into practice what we're learning. Certainly, we're not perfect people, and we need God's grace. But I feel like that's probably the lesson. I mean, I remember when Grant was like a baby and I was dragging him to worship practice at, 7 o'clock in the morning in the baby carrier, so that we could practice before church. So it's just what we've always
I
done.
remember probably when I was like 4 or 5, I would always help my dad load up the car with his guitars because they were on the worship team, and it would be how early in the morning? Probably about
We'd
4,
have to be there 6:45
quarter
so
to
we
7.
would
So we'd leave early in the morning, but like they just seeing them model that really kind of inspired me in a way. Not exactly to be exactly like them, but to sort of follow in their footsteps more as to serve and like, to really show that, like to shine my light, you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
they kind of modeled that for me. And honestly, if I didn't have that, I don't know if I'd be here. Really, I don't.
Mm.
But I mean, really that just growing up around it, but not only that, but like seeing their example really.
Yeah.
Other thing I would just say about it is I can't tell you how satisfying it is when like the light bulb goes on and like Grant was talking about how all of a sudden it wasn't because we were dragging him to church, but because he really wanted to do it. And I've seen that for him and Kate as well. To see that and just to see them using their gifts in that way and to see them really getting joy from that, there's just like nothing better than to see that happen. So I mean, it gives me so much joy every Sunday to see Grant serve and just like, hey, Grant, I need somebody to count this morning for me. Can you go do that? Yeah, mom, I'll go do it. I need somebody to usher. Can you go help in the parking team? Yeah, mom. Yeah, mom. Yeah, mom. And it's just a joy. It's just a joy.
It's really cool to be able to call on a volunteer that's going to willingly go and do it. And it just so happens to be your son. Like, what a
Yeah.
neat thing.
Yeah, yeah. And for my daughter as well,
Absolutely. Kate's
she
the same
helps
way.
she's a little quieter than Grant, but she this is her way that she really connects. She's quieter, so she doesn't necessarily always go to Student Hope, but she serves and she has people that really love her and care about her, people that have said, hey, adopted her as their grandkid. She's ladies in the church that have come alongside her, and a lot of that has come from her serving in guest services as well as volunteering um, in the kids. Yeah.
Okay, Scott. Just to reference or to kind of explain to listeners something that I love about your family. And you talked about earlier about how like you're the late one. I don't recognize you being late. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it's probably because I'm like in 1,000 different places and I don't see that you're late. So you told on yourself. But what I do see is you getting here. Sometimes with Ayana, sometimes it's you and just the kids, and sometimes they're thrown over your shoulders.
Yeah.
But you're here and they're here, and I can speak to how hard it is to get your children, small children, because our kids are around the same age, to get them to church. It's hard. It's hard to get through the parking lot.
Yeah.
But to continue to make serving a priority, how has that been for your family? And what obviously they're not able to serve yet, but do you think that they recognize that you are serving, that their mom is serving, and what that looks like for
Yeah,
them?
yeah, and that was also neat to hear, from you guys. For one, my kids also adore Grant, and so,
Mm-hmm.
all those things that you're
Sweet.
describing in your family also literally apply in our family as well because they see, Grant and Kate, the other young folks that serve on the teams. But in our home specifically, yeah, with my wife traveling a lot, sometimes it's tough. But what we've been able to do, and I could only do with her help, whether she's in town or not, is us establishing to our family, to our children, and to ourselves, to each other, that if it's Sunday morning and heck or high water, we're gonna be here.
We're getting there. We're getting to church.
And we're getting here early, and and that's something that yes, there are plenty of mornings where literally I'm dragging them, kicking and screaming, but once we get here, and as you said, a lot of times there's most Sundays where kids are running through the lobby, and somebody's like, they went that way, and
Thank you.
because there's something about being here, and it's the guest service team, it's the student it's the children's services teams. It's something about being here that allows our children and even us to just relax and to
Yeah.
to to feel comfortable, to feel free. um, and there's the consistency of them knowing that every Saturday night when we lay them down in bed, and we're praying with them and just talking with them. So, in the morning, remember, we're getting ready for church. So be thinking about what you want to wear to church in the morning, and those sorts of things. And we get plenty of nights where it's, "Oh, I don't want to go, but they still understand that the consistency is we love Jesus, and this is where we come to spend time with Him and to spend time with other people that also love Jesus. And that's been huge for them. And again, it's been huge for my wife and I, and specifically for the two of us. One of the things that I've particularly enjoyed, of course, I love seeing my children, love to be here, and having the opportunity to bring my children to encounter the Lord every Sunday, but also getting to see my wife, use her talents and abilities. It's funny. Everyone likes to think I'm this huge extrovert, and I have that kind of in my bag as something that I can do, and that is something that I can access. That's not really something that she's often, but she has this ability, kind of like what we talked about with Grant, where she sees individuals in a way that I just don't have the ability to. She sees individual people and is able to kind of just connect with people and just them and make them feel like, man, I went to church exactly like you were describing with that lady as well. Someone saw me today. Someone really cared enough and loved enough. And we know that love comes from, the Lord loving us and putting that in us. But that's something that I've grown to love more and more about her. But also it inspires me because for as much as in a crowd of people, I often can feel comfortable kind of talking and being, helping people feel comfortable. One thing I've always struggled with is really seeing individual people as created in the image of God and worthy of, and there's all kinds of reasons for that. But being kind of almost at a level of accountability in that way, of seeing so many members of the team, but again, especially someone that you live with and that you spend so much time with, kind of holding you to that. Hey, this is how you love people well, not people, the collective, but individual people who walk through this door and who need that love, because there are so many times where people will walk through this door and to what we spoke to, really just need someone to love them.
Yeah,
And we ultimately know that is the Lord that does that, but he uses us to do it.
absolutely.
And people who are surrendered to that, people who are willing to say yes to that. And I'm growing in it, and a big part of that is being able for us to serve as a family.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I know that our children see it, because there are little moments where little things come up, and one of the things I've noticed a lot in our children especially is that very individualized, I see you as a person and I want to love you well.
That's
Something that,
sweet.
again, for me, is not foreign necessarily, but isn't natural. But
Yeah.
I know they get that from their mom, and
Yeah.
I know that I see that play out on a lot of Sunday mornings.
That is really cool, Scott. Speaking of Ayana, your wife, I can remember specifically one morning we had baptisms and she was serving. And after the service, she stopped me and we were just talking. And if I'm recalling it correctly, she recognized somebody who had gotten baptized through maybe somebody that she had known from college, or she knew their sibling from college or something like that. And she followed them into the bathroom and made that connection and just loved on them in a very big, momentous day in that person's life. They were being baptized. Anyway, and we were talking afterwards, and she just made the comment. She was like, "This feels so good." And I think there's something to just choosing to focus on the world around you. To, I don't know, sometimes we can be really self consumed, but to make the conscious decision to say, I am not concerned about me today. I am concerned about the people that God puts in front of me. And I think that church is a great place for us to put that into practice, but it shouldn't just live here, right? It should be every single day that that's our pursuit, is that we are going to serve the world around us. And through that, walls are going to come down, like you mentioned earlier, Katrina. Walls are going to come down, and hopefully they're going to see the light in us that is Jesus. Um, yeah. So that's really cool. Okay. So I know that we probably are kind of coming close to time, but I wanted to ask if you knew of somebody who was kind of thinking, maybe I want to step into serving, but it seems like a really big commitment. Maybe it's not for me, but I really kind of want to, but I don't know. What would you say to them? What is your What's your thing?
I would say that stepping into serving has made um, my slash our family's experience with Hope Church, with church, and just even with the Christian life better in every conceivable way.
Mm.
Again, from the accountability piece of having something kind of exactly like you're talking about, something bigger than us, something more than just, oh, we go to church on Sunday because that's what we do. We go to church because we come here to experience the Lord and then to share Him with everyone else that walks in the door, and to make personal connections, and all those sorts of things. But um, yeah, there's just no downside. The fantastic leadership that we have on these teams between Katrina and you, Jenny, and the rest of all the different folks in different leadership roles. You guys all have an anointing to be able to pick and choose where people should go that maximizes their strengths and maximizes their abilities. There genuinely just is no downside, and that's something that is really special because in jobs and other volunteer positions, a lot of times we as people are pursuing, I want to help with, an activity that I like or a subject matter that I have interest in. But the good thing about the Lord is He doesn't choose us based on what we want. He chooses based on His plan and what He knows about us better than we do.
Yeah.
And so He puts us in positions, and He raises up people like you guys to put the rest of the volunteers in positions where we can succeed, where we can be uncomfortable in order to grow, but that ultimately that He through us is orchestrating this experience so that every person that walks in the door has the best possible chance to have an encounter with Jesus
Mm.
that would leave them. I remember one of my favorite sayings I heard in college was that every person that meets Jesus has a crisis. And we think of that word as meaning negative, but it just means that you cannot meet Jesus and be the same.
Yeah.
Meeting Jesus changes you forever. And so being a part of guest services just puts you in the critical path of being someone's crisis of meeting Jesus and it changing their life forever. And again, we know that that's always a good thing. That's
Absolutely.
always awesome. And so having that opportunity is cool. The way it grows you as a person is cool. Like I said, there's just genuinely no downside.
Yeah. How do you add to that, Katrina? I feel like I'm emotional just listening to you guys during this because wow, God is shining through y'all. Like seriously, and I'm just so thankful to know you guys and to be a part of it.
So I want to say that I was thinking about what you said, how we're so selfish sometimes. And it's almost like a relief to come here on a Sunday and think about not my stuff, not my issues, not my problems, but somebody else. It's like you can just relax. Um, I think what I love so much about serving too is yes, I connect with people. Yes, God uses me to help people. But gosh, I like have my people too. I mean, like my
Yes.
people, like people that love me and I love them and I know I can depend on them and I know they're there for me and I'm there for them. And there were so many times in my life that I did not have that. And it's such a precious thing. And if you're missing that in your life, I would just encourage you to just take a step. Like, don't get so hung up on what area you're going to serve in. Just like
Yeah.
take a step. Take a
Yep.
step. God will meet you in that place and he will put you in the position that you're supposed to be. If you had asked me 10 years ago if I would be doing this, I would have laughed at you. I would have laughed at you. And God is so good because he took the most painful things in my life and he made something good out of it. Um, and so I'm so grateful to be on guest services. I'm so grateful to have the people that I'm with on guest services. I love Scott and Ayana. I love how they are with my son. I love how they are with their kids. I love seeing all the growth. And there are multiple stories like that of people on the team. So
Yeah.
if it's not guest services, just take a step somewhere. Just be brave and take a step because it your life will be so much richer, so
Yeah.
much deeper. You'll be so much more connected. You'll have that faith that is strong and growing and is grounded and rooted in what is true. God definitely did not make us to be lone rangers. Even if you're introverted, okay, my introverted friends, you are not meant to be a lone ranger,
Absolutely. You're made to
right?
be in
You're
relationships.
meant to be in relationships. And I can say Grant is like 5 times more extroverted than I am. I'm not like super extroverted like my son, but what drives me for guest services is that I just want people to be okay.
Mhm.
I just want people to be okay.
Yeah.
And so all of that rambling, I would just say take a step. That
Yeah.
is what I would encourage you to do. It's okay if you're a little bit afraid. It's okay if you're a little bit uncomfortable. It's okay if you try something and it's not exactly the right fit. We want to see you grow to your potential. And so we will help you and come alongside so that you can find just the exact right place. And plus, God will move you in that place anyway.
Yep.
So take a step. That's what I would say.
It's wonderful. You have something to add, Grant?
Yeah, so kind of as like we said earlier, I'm sitting out there. I see a lot of faces, and I just want to say, like, as I see a lot of faces, like, I want to make sure everybody, like, even though I see a lot of faces, I want to make sure everybody knows, like, hey, I'm there for them, and they have a smile on their face, and I get to make sure, like my mom said, that this is like a good place to be. And the reason I say that is because um a couple years ago, or like not even really a couple years ago, but I used to just be this person, like, hey, maybe you'd see me around, or I really didn't really want to be here. I'd just be in and out. And I think serving in guest services is a great, great, great opportunity to find your place. Um, I didn't know many people at the church. I didn't know hardly anybody. I was so shy. Um, I hardly ever had a smile on my face. Really, I was struggling to find happiness here, and just serving really, really pushed me into finding people, finding, you know, my friends, people to talk to, just really making sure that I knew, like, hey, I enjoy being here. And I think really not just guest services, but any group. Of course, your team, they're always there for you. Everybody here is genuinely some of the nicest people I've ever met. But like as I serving kids, all those kids are like my little best friends. They really all
Aw,
are.
my little best friend. So
I mean,
sweet.
truthfully, they
Yeah,
are.
that's sweet.
Like just seeing everybody is honestly one of the most rewarding things ever. It really is.
Right, my friends. So I don't want to end without having a little bit of fun. So I'm going to ask you a question. I just want you to pop off the answer just real fast. Okay. Okay. And actually, I only have two questions. So you all have to answer it because I don't have three. I would have given you three individual questions. If I had thought about this a little more, maybe I'd be a little more prepared.
Okay.
Okay. Grant, what will be the name of your next pet? And what will that pet be?
A golden retriever named uh Ashton. How about that? We'll go
Ashton.
Ashton.
All right. Call him,
Ashton, sure.
Ash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it. All right, Katrina. What's your next pet? It can't be a golden retriever named Ashton.
Um, some kind of mini doodle, some kind of little dog, some kind of little teacup dog. I have big dogs. I have two big dogs, a medium dog. I need a little dog, and then I'll have the whole set. And I think, um,
We don't need any more.
well, yeah,
If
no,
you
I
get
need another one.
Ashton,
I need
your
another
mom
one.
gets to have
So
it.
I don't know. It just depends on which way I want to roll. I could name it Tinkerbell, or maybe it would be even funnier to name it Bruiser, since it's a little teeny
That's
tiny dog.
cute. I like
Yeah,
it.
so that's what I'm thinking. I need a little teacup kind of dog,
Little
something like
teacup
that.
bruiser. I like it.
Oh, next pet. Next pet. Um, having two toddlers, or a toddler and a post toddler, is plenty. So maybe we would step into like fish.
Yeah.
Maybe. Um, I'm a big fan of like beta fish.
Yeah.
They're kind of low maintenance, and there's lots of cool names.
Right.
The last time, actually, my wife and I had a beta fish a little while back. And it was right when the new set of like kind of the new wave of Star Wars movies was coming out. So we had a beta fish named Kylo Finn.
Oh, that's so
Uh,
cute.
And so, but as far as the next name, our daughter Kai is really, really into Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego right now,
So
and
is
so
Levi.
she likes to name all of her stuffed animals that. So probably, yeah, we'll have to get like 3 beta fish.
They fight each other, so maybe put them in separate
Yeah, in
rooms.
separate. Well, I mean,
Or maybe put them all
they threw
together.
3 men into the fire. So
Great point.
maybe these 3 beta fish will do their thing. But yeah, beta fish named Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego.
I like it. We had a beta fish. Levi had a beta fish, and he named him Milkshake. And so when Milkshake died, that was a big ordeal, and I cried when I was trying to explain to him that Milkshake. Anyway, it was rough. Okay, moving on. Last question. What are your future plans for retirement?
Whew.
It's just around the corner, Scott.
Yeah, let's see. Are we pretending that like society doesn't collapse before then?
Well, of course, Scott. Come on.
In retirement, probably golf. That's such a lame
Yeah,
answer,
no,
but
but I understand. Let's
the,
fill our days with the things we
golf's like a
enjoy.
thing right now, and I don't know, no, I'm a big, and fortunately from a young age, our children have been big into. We've been to a lot of like sporting events, professional sporting events, especially baseball. Big baseball guy, and so at some point, yeah, assuming that get to that point would be just to tour around, do some cool stuff like visiting a lot of baseball stadiums, going to baseball games. Our kids love it, we love it, and so yeah, it would definitely be something around that. Maybe even get into like amateur scouting and just some fun
Ooh,
stuff
fun, yeah.
with some things like that. That would be like ideal world, but yeah, it's probably mostly just like golf and fishing like everyone else.
Yeah, okay. That sounds good.
I'm a lot closer to retirement than y'all are. I'll just say, I would see the beach in my future retirement plans in one way or another. Don't
I think
know
that's great.
exactly what that would look like, but we're big fans of like the Pawleys Island area, and so which is I don't know 45 minutes south of Myrtle. Um, so yeah, I foresee maybe that in my retirement plans. Um,
Do you foresee me in
sure,
that?
come on down, Jenny. Come on, come on.
Is there like an open invite?
Yep, absolutely. And two, I think I'll still be volunteering and serving in some kind of capacity because I just yeah.
Scott, you missed that one.
Yeah. And I just yeah. But being retired actually gives you some more time to do some of that. So yeah. I think I can say that because like truthfully, I really am a lot closer than y'all. Okay, I don't know what you have to say about retirement, Grant, but here we go.
So, Grant, when you retire, what are you gonna do?
I've never thought about this before.
You really should. You have to start planning now.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
what I've been told.
Great idea. Great idea.
You were telling me how you were gonna like buy us the house.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got so the after I guess career plans is I guess kind of like a mix of what everybody said. Like I love golf, I love fishing. There would be a ton of that.
At
Travel
the beach.
of
probably.
course at the beach, of course, because I have to own a beach house. That just happens.
Right.
That's how that works.
Right.
No, but realistically, I think just moving down to the beach, because I enjoy warm weather, like year round. It's my thing. Um, Fishing a ton, golf, but also traveling. Like really, that is one of my favorite things to do. Me and my mom, we used to travel everywhere. Um, and one of my favorite things was airports. I love airports, and half the reason is because for some reason it's just kind of fun to see like new restaurants you've never seen or different each airport kind of has like its history in it, and so I kind of like to see that. um so maybe going around visiting different cities and airports, maybe collecting things.
Let me see it.
Fun.
Oh god.
You didn't say this part. Supposedly when I retire, Grant's gonna build me a mini house in his backyard so that I can babysit his children. This is what he's told
Free
me.
childcare.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Grant, it's really not a bad idea.
Yeah.
You should do that.
So
And
just
Katrina,
wanted, just wanted to
maybe
put that
hold
in.
off on the Polly's Island for a little while. Or Grant, build your house at Polly's Island.
At Polly's
There we
Island.
go.
Yes.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just work it out into
That's-
everybody's. Yeah.
I think that's the plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the plan right there.
Mhm.
All right. Well,
Retirement.
there you have it. It happened on Hope Talks.
There we go.
Okay, but really, thank you guys for
Hmm.
joining today and just kind of sharing your heart and being the guinea pigs of this whole concept of Hope Talks that started right here.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
history. Isn't
Oh,
that
yeah.
cool?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Cool deal. Y'all have a great night. Thanks for being here.
You too. Thank you.
That's a wrap. Woohoo!
Alright.
Woohoo!
Praise
Y'all. Good job. Thank y'all so much.
Oh yeah.
Fabulous. Fabulous people.
You were back there that whole time.
Yeah.
Oh.
If there was any technical difficulty.
But we didn't have any, right?
Hey,
Oh.
you know what?
Heck,
Like, you really do know me because this really is like, you know me.
she's not kidding. Like,
Yeah.
I mean.